Thank you so much again for tuning in and giving me a listen. Today, I'd like to talk to you about something that is quite important to me, and I hope is equally as important to you. Either way, I think it remains quite relevant. One of the most poignant lines, at least for me, that I've ever heard is from one of the Tunnels to Towers commercials and is delivered by a brave and bold, yet physically compromised soldier. No, wait a minute. Hero of war. The question he postures when he asks, "Where do you go when home just doesn't feel like home anymore?" Well, I have been blessed enough, at least, to have never personally experienced war firsthand. Though, to be completely transparent and honest and forthcoming, my father was a Vietnam vet. A vet who suffered and succumbed to PTSD, among other war-inflicted repercussions. So to some extent, I do know something about it. Yet, fortunately, like I said, I do not have personal firsthand frontline experience. However, I have never felt more simpatico with the sentiments of that soldier from the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. How so? Why so? Well, not because I see in him the outward expression of potential inner convictions my father may have felt and experienced. No, but rather and instead because I myself can relate to that brave soldier's vantage point, a vantage point of feeling like he just doesn't belong. I look around my nation. I look around my nation of origin. In fact, I look around the world, and no place, literally no place, feels like some place that I'd like to be. No place feels like the perfect fit, like that haven that I would like and be proud to call my home. And so just like that brave soldier in the Tunnel to Towers commercial, there is no place at all that I'm comfortable with or comfortable enough with to feel like it would be a sanctuary for me and my family. The entire world to me seems like it has flipped entirely upside down. But the United States, my home, is the epitome of cataclysmic catastrophe. And though I was born there and have always considered myself a very, very proud American, no matter where on the globe I found or find myself, my home, my birth home, just doesn't feel like home anymore. And in fact, I am progressively becoming more ashamed of my country, of my birth home, of my nation. It is an epic embarrassment to many of us who are not per se old, but are older, and who remember in America the beautiful, the way she used to be. Sadly, however, America has become, to many of us, unrecognizable and a pathetic, pitiful cartoon caricature of her former self. What is worse is that this horrific affliction is not only prevalent in American government, where it all started, but rather has infested and infiltrated American society as a whole. America's decline, a visible decline, permeates throughout the globe and has a stench that permeates throughout the world and is evident, at least to me and my family, every single time, almost without fail, that we step foot out of the house or out of the front door. It is apparent in how people act, taking it upon themselves to behave like savage, rabid animals, to promote their ideas, their ideologies, and their agendas through violent acts of insurrection, while those in power dare not point it out or call it what it is. It is apparent when we see uncouth, unrefined, déclassé, and basically completely classless individuals, such as, for example, the woman in Connecticut. I believe her name is Wanda, who was accused of stuffing the ballot boxes. When we see people like her working in and for our government, my question is, have we really lowered our standards that much? Can we not find any more suitable, more educated, sophisticated candidates to represent our government, our people, and our nation? Or is this perhaps a more accurate representation? More accurate representation of who we have become now. And honestly, it's not something to brag about or be proud of. Yet, this chronic but ultimately deadly disease has stricken not only the people who work in and for our government, but also the people who are part of our society, who have perhaps willingly and willfully drank the Kool-Aid, who have bought into the rhetoric, those who are living in our neighborhoods, those who are our children's teachers, mentors, maybe pastors, and even the parents of many of their friends. People think nothing of walking outside in their pajamas and slippers these days. And despite how much I personally like, though I've never met the guy in person, Mike Lindell, you know, the MyPillow guy, I really don't think that as nice or comfortable as they may be, wearing his slippers out in public is appropriate or acceptable. Still, I see way too many people who have traded in dignity for comfortability, with men walking around in sweatpants and slippers or flip-flops, and women toting around town in Lululemons and ugly Uggs. Sweatpants, in my opinion, were absolutely aptly named because they were pants to be worn on the basketball court, on the hockey field, or in the gym, as were Lululemons, where one would be expected to, you guessed it, sweat. They were not, again, in my not so humble opinion, supposed to become the fashion statement of the century and the staple item in everyone's closet. How depressing. How very, very depressing that a sign of our modern times is the fact that we have become lazy, way too lazy, and about almost everything. Too lazy to get dressed. In fact, too damn lazy to get dressed to go out, to go to work, to socialize. Everything we do these days is online, where only a limited and minimal effort is required. And which, in, again, my opinion, is the underlying reason why so many of us are bored and lonely, and why so many retailers and businesses are going out of business. This is not my home. It is not my America. It is not even my North America. And I am repeatedly reminded of this harsh fact when I see the harsh reality of abandoned stores and strip malls, of declining malls or shutting down malls, the end of stores, or stores that are still open but completely devoid of merchandise, at least in comparison to days gone by. Merchandise during holiday season, at the peak of shopping season, stores that are equally as bereft of clientele, at least clientele beaming with hope and holiday spirit, eager to spend their money and to joyfully and joyously prepare for the holiday season ahead. Nope, these people are sitting at home clicking away on Amazon. And so retail stores are suffering, as are mom and pops, and all are clamoring and clambering for customers and clientele. But the clientele they seem to attract are seemingly as unattractive as the merchandise. Merchandise which has become reflective of the apathy and complacency of a minimally minded society. Our dollar stores have become the new go-to place. Perhaps they were meant as a modern-day alternative to Woolworths and Woolco's or Five and Dimes of days gone by, but are instead an unsightly reminder of the decline of our society. We no longer seem to have an appreciation for the finer things in life, but for the cheap and the tawdry and the tacky, and for quick fixes and easy solutions. And while I certainly can see the advantage of such affordable shopping alternative emporiums, I simply cannot understand why they always look like they've been ransacked. Does no one care about shopping with dignity and refinement anymore? Even if we are spending less or are being frugal with our money. And the answer for management is always the same. It is either we are so busy we just don't have the time to clean up our act, or we are not busy enough. And that means we just don't have the appropriate funds to allocate to the manpower necessary to help us clean up our act. Or, last but not least, it's the people. I miss the America I grew up in. The America where people looked forward to going out of the home, to meeting up with friends and family for dinner, to meet up at church, or to do some holiday shopping, or even for a Friday night at the mall just to pass the time. And they did so in appropriate attire. An America that was Norman Rockwell-esque. An America that set the stage and led by example. An America that painted an enviable picture of the American dream for its people and for the rest of the world. Not an America that allows activists to infiltrate our Macy's Day Parade. And although this may sound cliche, I have grown weary. I have grown weary seeking for that America, for those times. An America and times that offered, at least to me, a magical experience, an unparalleled, hopeful world, the world I grew up in, a world that helped shape my childhood and my optimistic outlook, at least back then. An America and the world that contributed to shaping me as an adult. And even if I'm going out, tries to remember those values and to make it a point to go out looking age appropriate and as elegant as can be, even if I'm running errands, and to always leave the house looking somewhat put together. An adult who still takes pride in keeping a nice, neat, and clean home that reflects clean living and a cozy, happy home life. An adult who still puts value on friends and family and going above and beyond for them. And an adult who can still see the magic in the world, especially during holiday season, all holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, etc., who sees it as her duty to make those same holidays that were magical for me and mine as a youngster, magical now for the next generation, or the next generations, if you will, to set the example for them. Yet, I more frequently than not feel that I am one in a very, very few, and more often than not like I am the cheese that stands alone. And therefore, just like that soldier who so poignantly noted on the commercial, where do you go when home just doesn't feel like home anymore?